Hello and welcome to another video. Today I am bringing you my July reading wrap up, which was my worst month yet, but I'm giving myself a bit of a break because a lot of stuff happened in July. If you follow me on Twitter or if you watch my vlogs, you will know everything that happened in July and it wasn't great. So I'm giving myself a bit of a break for how badly I did. So I did only finish 9 books, and I know only, but for me that is like not a good amount to finish, but don't worry, I'm giving myself a break. So there was one book that I didn't finish, and that was Queen of Air and Darkness. This is obviously a reread. Me and Liv are buddy reading this, and neither of us had time to fit this in, so we are actually going to be finishing this in September. But I did read the first 236 pages, so my page count that I'm about to give you is going to include those 236 pages, but I only finished 9 books. This would have been the 10th, but it's fine, I'll finish it in September. So for pages, I read 3,724 pages, and that's the lowest my page count's been for a while, but I'm gonna keep repeating myself. I'm giving myself a break. I need to keep repeating it because otherwise I start to think, oh, but you only read this, you only read this. So I'm saying it to remind myself because I'm too hard on myself all the time and I don't need to be. So yeah, it's still a really good page count considering everything that went on. So I'm actually really happy with how July turned out reading wise. But let's get stuck in with actual books. So the first book I finished in July was Bite Club by Rachel Kane. This is the 10th book in the Morganville series. I really enjoyed this one. This has sort of like a Fight Club vibe to it, but also vampires still, obviously, and I really enjoyed it. This is the one where I just fall even more in love with Merlin, and Emil and Oliver, just like there's just a moment with Emil and Oliver and I just think it's perfection and I really enjoyed it. But this, again, like the first time I read it, got 4-star and I really like this one. Next up, I read Record of a Spaceborne Few by Becky Chambers, and this one got 3 stars and I was a little bit disappointed in this. So this is, according to Goodreads and everyone else, this is the 3rd book in the Wayfarers series. So I went into it thinking it was the 3rd book in a series, and obviously the 2nd book, if I'm remembering correctly, the 2nd book does follow different characters from the 1st. So I was expecting kind of more of that, which it does follow different characters. However, this is set during the same events of the end of the 1st book, and it just didn't feel like a 3rd book in a series at all. This felt like it could have just been a 1.5 novella, and I think that's why it got such a low rating. It just wasn't doing it for me as a 3rd book in a series, and it was a little bit disappointing. I did still enjoy it. Obviously I gave it a 3-star, that's still a good rating. I did still enjoy it, and you know, I really liked the characters. I think the characters were what brought this up for me because I did like the characters, but it just wasn't on the same level as the other 2 books for me. And yeah, but still 3 stars, and this has been on my shelves for like 3 years, so I finally read it, which is great. Next up we have High Rise by J.G. Ballard. This one I read purely because I want to watch the film because Tom Hiddleston's in it, and I like reading the book first, and I wasn't really too fussed about reading the book first for this one. Then I found out Tom Hiddleston actually narrates the audiobook and it was on Spotify for free, so I listened to the audiobook for this, and I'm going to be completely honest, it did only get a 3-star. However, I'm really glad I did read it before I end up watching the film, because if I'd gone into the film not knowing anything about this, I would have been 1, so confused, and 2, very disturbed. This is a weird book. It's a dystopian. It was written in 1975, and it was basically how society would be if these high-rises were built, and the high-rises essentially is your whole life. You live there, and you can work there, you shop there, you bank there. In these high-rise buildings, there's like 40 floors, but in this high-rise building, you have a school, you have a supermarket, you have a bank, you have everything. And it's very much a book about class and about the fact that the higher up you are, the more money you've got, and how you look down and disrespect the people on the lower levels, which, considering this was written in 1975, and I can definitely see that sort of thing happening now, so it's still very relevant now. But it was a really interesting book. I don't think I would ever read it again, but I am very intrigued to watch the film and see how it's portrayed in film. So yeah. Next up, we have The Martian by Andy Weir. Now, I originally wasn't going to read this. It's never really interested me. I didn't really know there was a book until Steph over at Steph Love started talking about it, and I had heard of the film, but I didn't know there was a book, and the film's never really interested me. But now I need to see the film. This book was incredible. This got 5 stars, and I love this entire book. So this is basically this guy, played by Matt Damon in the film, gets stranded on Mars after a mission sort of goes wrong, and they all just assume he's dead because of what happens, and they obviously leave. Turns out he's not dead, and he has to basically figure out how to survive on Mars on his own, whilst trying to communicate back to Earth that he is alive. And it's just genius. There's so much like science and math in this, but it's simplified in a way that anyone can understand it, and I think it's genius how it's done, and it's just so funny. Like, the main character is hilarious, and there's so many moments in this I was laughing. I read along with the audiobook, which is narrated by Will Wheaton, and if you're into listening to audiobooks and this book interests you, I highly recommend doing the mixed media and listening along with the book, because it's just that bit extra, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm really happy that I did read this. Next up, we have The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson. This was a 3-star for me, and not gonna lie, I'm a bit disappointed. This sounded absolutely amazing. So there is like 380 different worlds in the, I'm going to call it the multiverse, because that's essentially what it is. And you can only travel to worlds where yourself there has died. And if you travel to a world and you're still alive in that world, then you're going to die pretty quickly, because the world is like going, oh, there shouldn't be 2 of you in the same world. And this has a really good concept. I did enjoy it. Obviously I gave it 3 stars, but there was just something missing for me, and I didn't really feel anything for the characters, which is really bad because I should, but it was still good. I just wouldn't read it again, which is a shame because this is a really pretty edition, but it's fine. It was an okay read, and the logic was very well explained, and it did make sense, and that brought it up because I really liked how it explained things. So how it explained why you can only go to worlds where you're already dead in that world. It was really well done, and I really liked the science stuff behind it. But yeah, glad I read it though, and it was another sci-fi book. As you can tell, there's a theme with sci-fi in July. I did low-key take part in Steph's It's Sci-Fi July readathon thing, and I read mostly sci-fi. Next up, we have City of Rust by Gemma Fowler, and this was a 4-star for me. I really enjoyed this. This little mechanical gecko is called Atty, and Atty just stole the show for me. I loved Atty. There's a character called Care that our main character Rayleigh meets, and Care is just the most adorable character. I love her. She is so lovely. But I really liked this. The only thing for me, and I said this in my vlog where I finished this, the only thing that brought it down from a 5-star was the ending. So after the resolution of the like thing that happens, I felt there wasn't enough story afterwards. We literally had like 3 pages of later, and I would have liked a little bit more than that, and that is honestly the only thing that brought it down. It was still ended well in the sense that things were wrapped up, but I just feel like there could have been a bit more at the end. But I'm trying not to be too hard on it because it is a middle grade, and middle grades do tend to wrap up a lot quicker than YA and adult. It was still a really good book, and obviously I still gave it 4-star. It was just that one little thing that just stopped it from being a 5-star, but I still really loved this. Next up we have Covette by Tracy Wolff. This is the 3rd book in the Crave series. It's a chunky one, and this was absolutely incredible. This series has consistently been 5 stars for me, but this one just blew it all out of the park, and if I could give it more than 5 stars, I would. I continued to love the characters in this, and the plot, the way this went, was just so well done. And as much as the ending broke me, I was literally sobbing for the last like 70-ish pages, and I know it was that many pages because I was reading this on sprints, and in the last sprint that I did, I had about 70-ish pages, and I sobbed for the entire lot. The ending of this was heartbreaking, and the fact I now have to wait for book 4 is just ripping me apart inside because it hurts. But I think the pain is relevant to the story. So as much as I hate what happened, I can see why what happened, if that makes sense. I can't say anything else because it will spoil. But this still continued to make me laugh up until those last 70 pages. I love the humour in this. I love the characters. Hudson Vega continues to be the best character in this series, but I adore Macy, who's the main character's cousin. I just think the characters in this are just incredible, and I love everything about them. And characters is where this really, like, I love the plot and I love the writing and everything, but the characters is where this really hits those high marks on Core Pile, because I just love everything about the characters. But I'm gonna put this down because this is a really heavy book, and I'm gonna keep babbling and end up spoiling something, so I'm gonna stop. But 5 stars. Then I read Dark Stars by Danielle Rowlands. This is the final book in the Dark Stars trilogy, and I can't even tell you how happy this book made me. Like, there was some heartbreaking moments. However, the trilogy ends so perfectly. The writing in this was incredible. I love the logic behind everything, and some things that happened, the way they started to connect, and you didn't realise until the main characters were realising, and it was like, huh, genius. So well written, and I loved the ending. I think this possibly may be my favourite ending to a series ever, which is very high praise indeed considering how many series I have actually finished. But it was just, I can't find any fault with the ending. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, I literally had no idea how this was going to end, so to have that happy little surprise was amazing, and I'm very happy. And I had a great time buddy reading this with my sister and my friend B. It was such a fun experience buddy reading the 2nd and 3rd book of this trilogy, and yeah, I just absolutely love this book. And if you haven't read this series, the 1st book is Stolen Time, but if you haven't read this series, I highly recommend. It's amazing. It involves time travel, and it's set in the future, in a future Earth, and it's just amazing. I highly recommend. And then the final book I read in July was Witch Shadow by Susan Dennard, and this series has consistently been 4 stars, but I'm happy to report Witch Shadow got 5 stars. I'm so happy. I absolutely adored this book. So much happened in it. It also made me actually start to like one of the characters. I have consistently not liked Safi. Her like character does not interest me at all, and with the first few books I just sort of zone out in her chapters. I know what's happening, but I don't care for it. Whereas in this book, I actually cared what was happening in her chapters, and I cared what was happening to her, and her character really grew on me. I feel like she really developed. I think Susan Dennard had that opportunity, and I can't say why, but there was a lot more POVs from her point of view, and it really gave it the chance for her character to develop. And I really liked that, because it gave me a chance to actually like her, and I wasn't getting through her chapters thinking, oh, can it be another character please. I was actually in the moment enjoying her chapters. So I think that really helped boost this book. But also everything that happened was just ha, and there was a few moments I actually like gasped, audibly gasped. I know it was just amazing, and I am more than ready for the final book in this series, but who knows when that's going to come out, because Witch Shadow has only just come out a month and a bit ago. But I'm very happy that this got 5 stars, and it has overtaken Blood Witch as my favourite, which is weird because Aoden is my favourite character and Blood Witch is his book. This is Isolt's book, and her book has overtaken my favourite character's book. But anyway, yeah. I'm gonna stop because I love it so much, and not many people have read it yet, so I can't talk about it to many people. So I need people to hurry up and read it, please, and thank you. But that was my July wrap up. So this is a little bit shorter than usual, I think, or I've just babbled on a bit more than usual, but I hope you enjoyed this video. If you read any of these books, let me know what you thought of them. What was your favourite book in July? Talking of favourites, my favourites, funnily enough, now I usually go on Corpile and work out which one was my highest 5-star. I had 2, my 2 highest 5 stars were the exact same. They were both 9.14 on Corpile, and that's Covert and The Martian. So I can't choose between them, so they were both my favourites for July. But let me know what your favourite of July was, like your favourite read of July was, in the comments below. And if you did like this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time. Bye.